Hi everybody, so we are going to be talking about transformations. Now, transformations, you guys have learned this before, so this is just kind of a quick recap, and we're going to be adding on to it. So transformation is an operation that maps an original figure, and this is called the pre-image. And I mean, think back to your English prefixes. The pre is before, so pre-image is the before the original, whereas the new figure is called the image. Now, a transformation can change the size, position, or orientation of a figure. So orientation being like, if this were a triangle, it can make it look like this. It can make it be upside down, or another sideways version as well. Orientation is just which way it is pointing and how your original points originally were. So if this were A, B, C, and then this became A right here, and so forth. Now the first one that we're going to talk about, the first of the transformations, is a translation. Now a translation is a vertical and or horizontal slide. All right. Now, the slide, this part right here, SL, is the slide. So the symbolic form for this, or the algebraic form, is x, y, goes to x plus h and y plus k. All right, now here's the deal. Some people will also make this plus or minus, and that's fine. You can do that if you'd like, but at the end of the day, you're still adding them. You're still going to be combining those numbers or whatnot. It's just giving you a map. Now, the H part of this represents the horizontal shift. All right? And then the K represents the vertical shift. All right, so this one is asking us to graph the pre-image and its translation. So, your pre-image, you'll notice it's CDE, all right? Your translation, or your new figure, the image, is always going to be whatever prime, whatever prime, whatever prime. So our new figures are going to be C prime, D prime, E prime. And that's what that apostrophe is for. All right. Now this algebraic representation is also telling us what we're going to do with these points. Now, you don't have to graph this in order to give me your prime points, your images points. But let's go ahead and do it right here real quick. We are going to graph it just because they're asking us to graph it. So we're going to go to C, which is at 2, -1. We're at D, which is at 7, -4. Let me move C to 2, -1, and not -2, -1. Okay, to 7, -4, and E, which is at 4, -6. All right, connect your dots, and you have this triangle CDE. All right, now they are saying, check out our H. Our H value is telling us, okay, it's -3, so our H is -3, meaning we're going to go to the left 3 units. And our Y plus 8, our K value is a +8, meaning it's going to go up 8 units from where we were. So we're going to go left 3, and I'm going to work with C first. 1, 2, 3, and then up 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and we're going to label this C prime. And we got that it's at 1, 7. And here's the deal. I can even check that if I had just done the math. I know you're like, what, math? Okay, so x minus 3, 2 minus 3 gets you a -1, which we got right here. And then -1 plus 8, well, that gets you a +7. So we got it. We can even get points D and D prime and E prime without graphing them first. So D prime would be 7 minus 3, so at 4, and -4 plus 8, 4, 4. So I'm going to go right 4, up 4, and you'll notice that is going 1, 2, 3 left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up. Once you've got it, you are also going to get E prime, which is going to be at 1, 2. Okay, and I'm going to connect these. Now, again, you do not need to have graph paper to do this. The great part is that you've got your algebraic representation. So if you've kind of got an idea here, if the x-coordinate has a minus, then, this is, by the way, if your h value is negative and your h is positive, all right? If it's negative, then it shifts down. And if it's a positive, then it's going to shift, oops. It's going to shift left because I'm working on the x-axis, and then it's going to go right. It's going to go up and down on my y-axis when I'm working with a negative k and then positive k right here. All right, so let's look at some more. This time you've been given the graph and you have to figure out the translation. Well, your translations, and in fact, any transformation is going to start with x, y, your original point goes to the arrow, right? Now we know it's a translation. So it's going to be x plus or minus something, and then y plus or minus something. So, let's look at it. We know we're going to the right, and we know we're going up. And you don't have to deal with every single point. You can just pick one point because it's a translation to the entire shape. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, sorry. Should be 7. I got a little too excited that I could count. And I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. And this would be my translation. That would be my algebraic representation. And in fact, you can check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going up 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how it works for this one. You can check it on D and D prime as well. All right, here's our next point. Using A, B, C, and D, draw quadrilateral A, B, C, D, and then draw quadrilateral A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. Translate it so that C ends up on the origin. So we've got a lot of words happening here. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight what I want out of here. Here's my original. Whoa! Okay, and then A prime, B prime, C prime, so that C ends on the origin. And I need to write the rule. All right. Well, there are two ways we can do this. We can use the graph, right? Or if we're using what we just learned in the knowledge that we have from the example before, if you're at 3, 1, right here, and I want to get to 0, 0, then all you're going is you're going to go left 3, meaning whatever you get, it's going to be x minus 3, and you're going to go down 1, it's going to be y minus 1. And this would be your algebraic representation. Now this algebraic representation, these are your directions to how to get to anywhere. You can now tell A, B, and D to get there as well. So let's also figure out what our points are going to be. A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. We know C prime was going to be 0, 0 anyways, because that's what they told us. All right. I like to do it algebraically just because I'm very lazy about graphing. So 0, 0, minus 3, minus 1, minus 3, minus 1. This one's already good. And then we've got D minus 3, minus 1. And so these would be your new points as well. All right. Now here's the deal. There are also things called translation vectors. Now, you guys do learn about vectors in physics, and all it is you're moving in a direction. All right? So, it's another way of describing translations, though. Okay? So, it's each segment joining a point and its image has the same length as the vector. Okay. And this segment is also parallel to the vector. Okay, so pretty much these two are not only going to be parallel, but they're also going to be congruent. That vector is going to be congruent and parallel with how much your pre-image moves to become the image. All right, now a translation vector, you see here, it's just 4, -1. It's in these angled brackets. If I were to write say this one right here, as a vector, then I would write it as 7, 4 in these brackets. And that would be vector form. And that's it. So it's the exact same thing, but it's a little bit shorter way of doing it. All right, so same thing here. I can still do my math. So A prime is going to be plus 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5. And then 6 minus 1, you get 5. All right, B, you've got 3, 2. And we're going to be adding 4 to the 3. And then 2 minus 1 gets you 1. 4 plus 4 is 8. And 7 minus 1 is 6. And these are your new points. Now, it did ask you to go ahead and graph these. So please be sure to do that. I am going to do the same. So if you want to pause your video real quick, so that way you can have it graphed, you totally can. Okay, so there's my pre-image. Okay, and here we're going to get our image down here. Notice I'm labeling it A prime, C prime, and B prime. All right. Now for this one, I've given you a graph, and I want you to write both the translation vector and the algebraic representation for this translation. So, I want you to look right here. Here is our pre-image. And that's because it doesn't have these prime marks right here. So this means this is our image, and this is what we're going to. Alright, so I like to pick just one point, and I'm gonna pick point L just because it's easy and it's on the origin. You can pick any single one of these points, and you will get the same representation and same vector. So we're going left, 1, 2, 3. And we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our translation vector right here. And our algebraic representation for this would be the exact same thing, except now we just write out that it's x, y. Our original coordinate point goes to x minus 3 and y minus 4. This right here is our algebraic representation. And guess what? You are done with translations. We are going to be talking about the other transformations because, hey, that's our entire chapter. Thanks for watching.